Okay, so the first problem that we're going to look at is 22. They asked me to find angle ONP. So if I start at O and went to N and then to P, the two sides that connect is this right here. So we're looking for this angle, as well as they ask us for NPO. So NPO is this angle right here. Now, am I given any information in this triangle? In this first triangle right here? No. Okay? But I am given information in this triangle. So we're going to use this information in this triangle to find all of these angles. And then we'll use it to find these. So what type triangle is LMN? No, it's isosceles, okay? So because of these tick marks, that means that these two sides are equal, which means what about the angles opposite of them? They're congruent. So this angle here, which is opposite of this side, is going to be congruent to this angle here, which is opposite of this side. So to find these angles, we're going to take 180. We're going to subtract 112 from that. That gives me 68. Then we're going to divide 68 by 2 because both of these can't be 68, because if I added 112 plus 68, that'd be more than 180. So I have to split it into these two angles, and since they're equal, I can split it by 2 so that they're equal. And when I divide that, I get 34. So this would be 34 degrees, and this one would be 34 degrees. Now, how does that help me find this angle here? Yeah, they're vertical. So if this is 34, so is this one. So this is 34. So we'd write 34 up here. Now we want to find NPO, which is this angle right here. So looking at the second triangle, what type of triangle is this? Isosceles. Okay, so what does that tell me then? Or how does that help me? Two sides are congruent, which means what? The angles are congruent as well. So this angle and this angle will be the same. So we're going to do the same thing we did right here. We are going to take 180. We subtract the angle we already know, which is 34. And that gives me 147, right? You're right, 146. Okay? Then both of these angles together are 146. To find each of them individually, since they're equal, we're going to divide this by 2. And I get 73 for each. So this is 73. Okay. Next, let's look at 25. So 25 says in triangle ABC. So the first thing I'm going to do, just to keep this organized, is I'm going to draw my triangle ABC. Okay, it says measure A is twice the measure of B. I don't know what B is yet, but we'll keep reading. Measure C is 8 more than B. Solve for X and find the measure of each angle. Okay, so they tell me measure A is this, measure C is this. What measure do they not tell me? Measure what? Measure B. So angle B, since they didn't tell us what that was, we can let it be X. Very good. Then we're going to set everything up around it. So it says measure A is twice measure B, so twice of x, which is 2x. Measure C is 8 more than x. So 8 more than x. What does than mean? Switch or swap. So instead of 8 plus x, we do x plus 8. Okay? So this is 2x, x, and x plus 8. Now, what do we know about all three angles in a triangle? They add up to 180. So we do x plus 2x plus x. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4x plus 8 equals 180. We would subtract 8 from both sides. That gives us 4x equals 172. Then we divide this by 4, and x equals, is that right? $43. Okay? Now, to find each angle, since x is 43, that means measure B is 43. Then to find A, we'd have to do 2 times 43. So that's 86. And then for measure C, we would do 43 plus 8, which would give me 51. Okay? Are there questions about those? Okay. Let's look at 26 then. So 26 tells me that I'm going to have an equilateral. What does equilateral mean? All sides are the same. So when I draw my triangle, I'm going to make all of them, I'm going to give them all a tick mark so I remember that they're all the same. They're in equilateral. So it tells me, oh yeah, and label X, Y, and Z. It tells me that measure XY is 8 less than 6 times the number. So 8 less means minus. Remember, than means swaps. And then 6 times, and if we just have a number, we let that be x. So instead of writing 8 minus 6x, we would swap it and write 6x minus 8. Very good. Then for YZ, we're going to do 16 more than 4 times a number. So 16, more means plus. We're going to have to swap 4 times a number. So instead of 16 plus 4x, we would write it as 4x plus 16. Okay, and then it says find x in the measure of each side. So it doesn't give me all 3 sides, but what do I know about the 2 that I'm given, Trey? They're equal. So we're going to set these 2 equal to solve. So 6x minus 8 equals 4x plus 16. From here, we're just going to solve for x. So we subtract 4x from both sides. That gives me 2x minus 8 equals 16. Then we get x by itself by adding 8 to both sides. So that's going to give me 2x equals 24. And so last we divide by 2. And x equals 12. Okay? So x equals 12, but we also have to find the measure of the sides. What do we know about all 3 sides? They're going to be the same, so I'm going to put sides right here, and I'm just going to plug into 1, and then it will give me all of them. So let's do 4 times 12 plus 16. That would be 64. Very good. Okay. And next we're going to look at 30. Okay, so for 30, they asked me to find the perimeter of LMN. So LMN is this triangle right here in the center. Now, how do I find the perimeter of something? Okay, we have to add all the sides. Now, how many sides are we given? We have 3, but are we given all 3 measures? No, we're only given 1. So I actually need to find MN, and I also need to find LM. What part of a triangle is MN? The mid-segment. Okay. What is its corresponding bottom? What is the bottom to this? 80, or AB, right? So if the bottom is 80, what does that mean the mid-segment is? Very good. 40. You just half it. Then for LM, this is also a mid-segment. What is its bottom? BC. Okay, how long is BC? 60. BC is 60, so LM would be 30. So to find the perimeter, you add all the sides up. So 30 plus 20 plus 40 is 90. So the perimeter is 90. Okay, do we have questions there? Okay, now what numbers 1 through 22 do you want me to go ahead and look at? Let me look at number 10. Oh, I don't have number 10 on my screen. Number 10, yeah, you just add them up. Okay? Yes.
Wait, number 10. I thought you add them up and add them up. You do 180 minus that.
Grissom, what question do you have? Number 17. Yep. Okay, so 17 asked me to find KLM and X. So I kind of cut the measures off, but KLM, I believe, is this angle right here, right? Is that KLM? Okay. Now, this angle right here, where is it in reference to the triangle? It's exterior, okay? And so there's a formula that you need to know that goes with exterior. Do y'all remember what it is? Very good. Remote angle plus remote angle equals the exterior angle. So what are my 2 remote angles here? X minus 39 and 13 minus x. So I would do x minus 39 plus 13 minus x. So remote plus remote equals my exterior, which is x squared minus 107. Okay? So I have a positive x minus x. What's going to happen to those? They cancel. And then I have negative 39 plus 13. What is that going to give me? Negative 26 equals x squared minus 107. So I want to get x squared by itself, so I'm going to add 107 to both sides. That gives me x squared equals 81. So how do I get rid of the squared? I take the square root of both sides, and so x equals positive and negative 9. So that's why there's two blanks. One's a positive 9, one's a negative 9. And then to find the angle, we plug back in to right here. So we do 9 squared minus 107, which would be 81 minus 107. What does that give us? Negative 26. Okay? And so technically that's not a great answer for an angle, but sometimes when we're doing factoring, we end up with some weird numbers. Okay? What other questions? 1 through 22. Yes. Okay. For 21, they want us to find angle CGD. So CGD would be this angle right here. Now I know this is the vertex of this little triangle, but does it give me any of the measures in the small triangle? No. So I've got to start with a triangle that actually has measures. So let's start with ABD. So if I'm looking at triangle ABD, what measure am I missing there? What angle measure? Angle D. So we can easily find angle D by doing what? Well, we would just add the other two because all three angles in a triangle add to 180. We would add 51 plus 86. So that gives me 137. I'm going to subtract that from 180 since I know all three should add up to 180. And that gives me that the third angle is 43. Okay? Then I'm still not able to get this one, so I want to look at my other triangle, FCE, and find its missing angle. Its missing angle is C. So I'm going to again do 72 plus 30, which is 102. I'm going to subtract that from 180. So this one is 78. And then now how can I find that third measure? Good. 78 plus 43 gives me 121, and then I subtract that from 180, and it makes that measure 59 degrees. Yes?
It says in angle CGE. Are we supposed to find, so we're supposed to find the whole triangle?
No, this is not a triangle. This is asking for the angle of CGD, and the only way that we could do that was to find these other two ones.
I thought it was CDG.
Yes.
Okay, number 20, I don't have a question on the whole thing, but for
Mhm.
F and E, which number did you use? 'Cause
Okay. You used what?
For E, I used 30, and then for F, I just, subtracted.
Okay, I'm glad you asked about 20 because a lot of people ask me about 20 and they say, okay, which one do I circle as my transversal? What's the only way that you can have a transversal? If you have two parallel lines. Are there two parallel lines in number 20? No. Okay, I wanted to point that out and make that very clear. Did you solve in clusters? Because that's how you're supposed to. So like here, I'd focus in this cluster. Here, this one. And then here, I'd focus this one, but this one doesn't have any numbers, right?
Yeah.
So you were asking about finding E or F.
Yeah, I'm not number.
You would look at, what is this middle figure right here? What does this make? A a triangle. So we would add 30 plus 70, which would give me 100. And I would subtract from 180 to find that third angle. And so E would be 80 degrees. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, any other questions? Yes. Which one? 15? Okay, so for 15, they give me all three sides. The biggest mistake that I see on 15 is people add all the sides and set them equal to what? Nope, to 180. Okay? Just because we're given three measures does not mean that it equals 180. It's only when we're looking at angles. These are sides. So since we're talking about sides, we have to look at the information that's given. So the thing that sticks out to me here is this and this. What does that mean? Okay, it means that I have two angles that are congruent, which means the opposite sides are congruent. Very good. So that's the isosceles triangle theorem that you need to know before tomorrow if you don't. So if angles are equal, the sides opposite are equal. Just like if the sides are equal, the angles opposite are equal. So what is measure AC right here? Yes, but it's called a what? It is the base, and it's also a distractor. Because do we need this to solve? No. Okay? We only need this and this because those are the two things that are equal. So we would do x squared minus 10 equals 4x plus 11. Now, how are we going to solve for x here? What does this x squared tell us?
Oh, factor.
That we're going to have to factor. So in order to factor, we need to do what? Get everything on one side. So I'm going to move 4x over. When I move it over, it changes signs. It doesn't have any like terms over here, so I'd write x squared minus 4x because I can't combine it. Then I would move this 11 over. When I move that over, it becomes negative as well. So I have a negative 10, negative 11 gives me negative 21. There are 1, 2, 3 terms, so that means we're factoring by trinomial shortcut. So go ahead and draw your parentheses. What letter goes in the beginning of both? X. And now I'm looking for something that multiplies to give me a negative 21, but adds to give me a negative 4. Negative 7 and 3. Negative 7 times 3 is negative 21. Negative 7 plus 3 is a negative 4. Okay, now, when I get my x's up here, what do I do to these in the parentheses? Okay, we do the opposite. Since this is minus 7, this would be a positive 7. Since this is a positive 3, it would be negative 3. And then our last step is to find the measure of AB. So I would plug these back in. If I plug in 7, that gives me 7 squared minus 10. So 49 minus 10 is 39. And then I do the same thing with negative 3. Negative 3 squared is 9. 9 minus 10 is a negative 1. Is that a good length? No, so mark it out. Okay, so as you continue working the rest of this period, I want you to make sure that you're looking and checking with the key on Schoology so that if you're not getting the right answers, I can help you on that, okay?